class and, growing up in elementary school and junior high school and high school. So I did like to draw once in a while, but this was different because I had decided that I wanted to try to create a masterpiece. So I went back to my apartment where I was staying, and I got myself a piece of oak tag, which is a piece of thick paper, basically, and it was about this size. And I had gotten some crayons for the holidays for my mom. You can see over here, it says Caran Dash. That's the brand of crayons that I had. It had about 30 different colors in it, and so very bright colors. And the first thing that I did, I couldn't really think of what to do, but the first thing I did is I drew myself into the picture. Do you think it's all right if I stand here and just show it here, or should somebody walk around showing this more closely to the kids? I can talk about it while if you show it to them more closely. So I put my legs down at the bottom, and it's like it's me on my bed. Can you see? Drawing this picture. And then what I proceeded to do is to start taking, maybe you want to walk around a little slower so that they can all see the legs and the bottom and identify a few items. I started to take out all the different items that were in my apartment, and one by one, I would draw them into the picture. And this was different than any other picture that I had done before, because I think up until this point, whenever I had drawn a picture, I would just sort of sit down and draw a picture. But for this, it took me over 30 days to do it, to finish it. Every day after school, after I finished my work, I would take out my oak tag, take out my crayons, and add to the picture until it was totally finished. And when I was done with it, well, first I looked at it and I saw all these different brands on there. And I thought to myself, I must really be a victim of all their advertising to have all these brand logos, in my apartment. So I titled the piece "The Victim." And I was very proud that I had put so much work into one thing. And really, I did it just for my own enjoyment. It wasn't like I did it for a school assignment or for a grade or for anything like that. So it was interesting because, I had spent lots of time doing other things for fun. But with art, it seemed like at the end of it, at the end of the fun, I got to keep something special and solid, like the artwork itself. And I ended up selling this drawing a few years ago for a few $1,000s. So something that I did for fun in college, just hanging out in my room, listening to music and stuff, that I could turn into something solid like that, it sort of makes entertaining yourself, it takes it to another level, I think. So that was my first serious work, called The Victim. And then, like I said, I was in business school. Like I said, I was in business school. So I was really only doing art when I had a chance for my own enjoyment. But when I got out of school, I had to get a job, and I did. I got a job in the food business, and I started selling food. I was a salesman and a distribution person. So I would go around to stores and sell different products. I would go around to health food stores, and gourmet stores, and delis, and cafes, and all sorts of places like that. And yeah, you guys can sit down if you'd like. And I started selling all these different products. And to make a very long story short, after a while, I decided to start my own juice company. So I don't know if you know about that part of my story, but besides being an artist and cutting up cereal boxes, I started a fruit juice company. And that's a whole story in itself, but I created some characters for my juice labels. This is one of them. This is the Tangerine Man. And his name is Surreal. Did you guys learn about Surreal at all? No? Well, I created this line of characters called Surreal. Hold on a second. Okay, there's a page in my book about the surreal, but as you can see, I created a whole bunch of these different fruit head characters for the juice label. The Tangerine Man is on jugs of tangerine juice that I have. I have an orange head man for orange juice, a lemon head man for lemonade, an apple head man for the apple cider that I sell. And basically, I have factories I work with. I have the citrus juices, the orange, grapefruit, and tangerine that I make in Florida. And my apple cider is made in Massachusetts. And I have it made and I sell it, and that's my business. So besides visiting schools and making art, I actually spend a bunch of my time doing that. And that helps pay the bills. And I'm hoping that one day these surreal characters will become well known, and that hopefully you'll be able to see them in Kroger's and Walmart and Food Lion and stuff like that. So it's pretty interesting. I don't think there's other artists that have juice companies. And I've been thinking that it's hard to understand about the juice if I don't actually show you the product. So I brought some of my empty bottles just to show you. This is what the apple cider looks like. You can see the Apple Man on the label.
You guys want to see this?
See, in the regular supermarket, there's hundreds of different characters. You know them all. Snap, Crackle, and Pop, Tony the Tiger, Mr. Peanut, Lucky from Lucky Charms, Diggum from the Honey Smacks. And, lately, what's become very popular is natural foods. And the natural food brands are all named stuff like Nature's this and Nature's that, and they don't have any fun characters. And my idea was that these surreal characters are a lot more intelligent than most of the other old-time characters. And so they like to read labels, they like to eat healthy, they're into natural foods, and they're also into art. They like art and they like learning. So they're a little bit more intellectual than some of these other characters who shall remain nameless. So anyway, that's what I do in my business. It's really the only time that my art has connected with my business. All the other art that I do is really just because I'm trying to be an artist and I'm trying to see what I can come up with. So, as you probably noticed, most of my work that you've seen is collage, which is what we're doing here. It's cut and paste. You take various materials, whether it's magazines, photographs. I like to use cereal boxes and other packages like that. But basically, if you take materials from one source and then put them together to create a picture, that's what a collage is. And I started making collages as a way to use certain materials that I had at home and at work that I had no other use for really. First, I actually started making collages out of photographs. Here's an example of a photo collage. I'll tell you the story quickly about the photo collages because it's kind of, I think it's very relevant to my whole story. I was making art as much as I could because I wanted to be an artist. I had this thought that if I don't make art, I'm not going to be an artist. If all I do is sell juice